I've been woodworking for nearly 4 years now. In that time, I've managed to make well over 100 projects, around 60 build videos, and it's fair to say that I've had some ups. I've also had some downs. That one came 6 feet down, and I've still got the bump on the back of my head to show the lesson I learnt from that. If I'm being honest, nothing's hurt me like the mistakes I've made mid-project. So here's 3 takeaways from 3 years of woodworking, and these lessons will ring true whether you're an absolute beginner or a seasoned weekend warrior. Now, coming in with lesson number 1 is stop caring. Now that seems a really daft thing to say, but I'm going to ask you a question. How many times in your first couple of years have you chased perfection? Have you got annoyed by that scratch around the back of a project, that little gouge underneath, or that bit of chip out that only you'll ever know about? It's about understanding your journey, the amount of time you've spent doing something, and what is a reasonable result to expect in that time frame. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't have targets, don't have goals, don't have a standard that you want to meet. But it's about keeping a perspective of where you are in this journey. All too often, certainly with myself, I've found that I've tried to race on ahead and be better than I actually am. One of the hardest things I found to get my head around in the early days was how fast my learning journey was going to be. You've got to take so much into account. You've got your learning style, your learning speed, and in between all that, you've got the time that you've got available. Now, if you're doing a 50, 60-hour work week, you're coming home to a young, small family, maybe you're only catching an hour or two on a weekend to get into your workshop and practice those skills. You might be the other end of the scale as well, though, because you might be retired with 5 or 6 days a week where you can go give up a few hours at a time. The journey is going to go at a different pace for both those types of people. So understand which side of that spectrum you're on. Now, we're quite lucky that we learn at school an equation, more oftenly referred to in motoring and in woodworking. It will cover all this, and that's quite simply speed equals distance over time. Or more simply in a woodworking term, it's going to be speed multiplied by time available will equal the distance that your journey can go. And I bet you didn't think in this video you'd be learning a bit of science and a little bit of maths. But it's amazing what pops up in woodworking. But now we've got all the boring maths and equations out of the way, let's be honest about this. It is just about having perspective. I want you to stop caring to the point that it paralyses you. But I think you need to care enough that you want to progress and get better. Lesson number 2 is quite easy. You can't buy your way to being better. Or certainly you can't do it easily. Look, I love a new tool as much as the next person. Why did I buy some calipers? I thought they looked cool. How many times have I used them? 0. An impact driver that was on offer a couple of Christmases ago, a great addition if I were doing loads of framing. But you try to put in some small little screws with this thing and it'll round it off quicker than you can think. Have they made me better? No. Are they useful? Yeah, in some situations they are. Well, maybe not this just yet, but one day I'll use it for something. Ultimately, I'm not saying don't buy new tools. I'm not saying don't upgrade. I upgraded my table saw a couple of months back and it's the best purchase I've ever made. But buy what you need. Stop buying those gimmicky little tools that you see on Instagram or Facebook or wherever and you think, that'll make me better. They won't, they'll just make you poorer. My suggestion would be, if you want to buy your way to better, would be to invest in yourself, not in tools. Look for some courses. I'm fortunate near me, there's a fantastic little place called Leeds Wood Recycling. It's a community-based project that offers courses to beginners and intermediates, and the money it makes from that, it puts back into social projects within the local area. If you haven't got one of those, or that's not your bag, then look for a professional. Someone like Carl over at Carl Pope Woodcraft, a professional woodworker offering their skills and advice is going to improve you far more than that £10 tool. If I'm being honest, I've had a whole host of these £10 tools and I could have put that to better use in a lesson. Instead, I've just got a drawer full of tat. The third and final lesson that I've learned in my 3 years of woodworking is quite simple. Just be yourself. You can't be anyone else because they're already taken. Look, I would love to have the charisma on screen of a John Malecki, the skills of a Carl Pope, the voice of Cam Anderson, the shuffle of Mark Dana. But I've not got those things. Why do I mention this? It's quite simple. When you're trying to base your woodworking style on somebody else, it comes out in your project. Just be you. Let you shine through in the project. Do the builds that you want to do. Finish it the way that you want to do. Make the mistakes that you have to make to learn. All these things about just being you will help you with your woodworking, because when you stop trying to play up to somebody else, you just crack on. Now again, this comes with quite an asterisk next to it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn from others. There's plenty of mistakes that you can learn from out there on YouTube. Just look at my back catalogue, there's at least one mistake in every video. What I'm saying is simple. Don't look to replicate the whole way that somebody else is in their woodworking. Just be you. I can guarantee you that the pieces that I've made and given away to people have been better received when they're all about being me and not about being somebody else. Give it a try. Your whole workpiece will feel completely different. And as I've been finishing off this video, there's one further bit that I've thought about that really helps me. And that's quite simply knowing when to take a step back. We've all been there. One mistake becomes two, becomes three, and all of a sudden you want to quit. And whatever project you're working on is about to become a bonfire. Knowing when to stop once those mistakes happen is so key. Sometimes I'll leave a project for a week or more. Stepping back, refreshing and rethinking the project is just as good a skill as anything else in woodworking. Now I'm dead lucky. I've got a lovely little spot to walk around that is a stone's throw from where I am. But it matters not whether you have got rural countryside or a concrete jungle, or whether you retire to your sofa and watch your favourite TV programme. Coming away, resetting, making a little bit of a mental plan about how you're going to overcome whatever obstacles it is that you've just faced will mean that your results go absolutely through the roof. I know mine did. So if you can just be you, invest wisely in yourself and not into gimmicks. If you can care enough to produce something great, but not so much so that you're paralysed, and you can learn when to step back, take a breather and come back with a clear and fresh head, then I think you've got this. But I think more importantly, this video's as much for me, because talking to this camera for the last couple of days, I think I've realised how far I've come. And the fact is that maybe I've got this. So hopefully I'll see you again on this channel. And until then, I hope you have a real great time in your workshop and you make some awesome projects. See you later.